This is a little sketchbook spread from this past weekend, and just some fun things we did. We went as a family to the Cleveland Zoo, which was fun and big and giant, and got to see an elephant so up close against the glass that it was like a life goal for me. It would be even cooler to be real life that close without glass. I love elephants. Also, in the rainforest section, we saw so many giant live plants and monstera leaves, which I love. Got this ice cream cone I've been craving from Dairy Queen. It was just a vanilla vanilla soft serve with rainbow sprinkles. And I definitely want to get another one soon. I'm not usually a vanilla person, but I really like that. These are 2 flowers. This one is from the zoo, and then this is another one that I just decided to sketch. But it's basically a zoo and treat filled page. I was thinking about adding some color to here or continuing the flowers in the page before, or 2 before. Yeah, I had this other flower idea going on. These are some large scale, I might turn these into large scale pieces. I always find this love for pen drawing, and I've always done it in my sketchbooks, but I've never really done it on a large sheet of paper. I don't know if it's because I typically use cold pressed watercolor paper and the pen is a little bit weird on there, or if it's just that I've just related sketchbooks to sketching with pen, and I don't think of doing it with my watercolor on a larger scale piece. But I don't know, we'll see. Maybe I'll do that this week. Also, these are my mom's. They look awful right now because I accidentally left them out in the sun, which I've heard you're not supposed to do, but they smell amazing, and some of them are still alive, so I thought I would bring them inside because we have this heat wave going on. It got really cold and it made you think it was fall, and now I'm wearing shorts and tank tops again, and the mums hate it. They hate it. So I'm trying to revive them inside. They got a lot of water over the weekend because my sweet husband watered them, and yeah, I'm gonna see if I can revive them because I was really excited to plant mums this fall. Might have to buy more. They were only $4 though, so I wouldn't be that upset if they died, but yeah. So hopefully I'm the plant reviver. I also have this little setup over here, if you can see, where I turned a piano bench kind of into my plant station. I had my monstera there, but there's just a lot going on. This plant I actually put over here when I have the table I'm using to vlog is over there, and my monstera is back by the window where it gets more sun. Yeah, the goal is to fill this room with plants when it fully becomes my studio. My husband and I share it right now. If you have not watched other videos where I talk about that, the goal is to either paint it all white or all black. The walls are blue currently. It's nice, it's gentle, but it's not my dream color. And so I'm gonna be painting that, and we have white carpet in here, so I'm definitely gonna want to put a really big rug in the center. So if I want to work on a large scale painting, which is something I've wanted to do for a while, I've wanted to buy like giant canvases and just paint and go crazy. But my desk is big, but I don't want it to just fully take over my desk because I like to bounce from project to project, and then I won't have anywhere to put the canvas. I don't want to risk getting paint on the white carpet. And so for now that dream is just on hold, you know, it's only temporary. And I'd just love to have that space to have the rug, have the painting there, be able to set it there, not worry about getting paint on the rug, buy the rug specifically to not care if there's paint on it, and it'll just add to the essence of the studio. And yeah, I'm just excited. And probably will start filming when that change is made. It's still gonna be a little while, but there's this window right here, and that's where I get most of my light. But there's another window there, and I can't use it a lot because I just don't want to stand in front of where my closet makeshift desk is over here. I mean, I've done it before, but I just want some full light. There's a bookcase that blocks it a little bit right now. So yeah, I'm getting excited. I'm mapping it out in my head. And because piece by piece, the bookshelf is actually gonna be leaving in a little bit. And we're just gradually clearing out, you know, making space and room and changes in our house. Because this is a home studio, and that's just, you know, life. You just have stuff and you have to figure out where to put it and reorganize and do lots of things. And my husband is a collector, so there's a lot of things that he collects, and just figuring out where it goes and what we want to do with our spaces, with our hobbies, our passions. Yeah, I didn't think this vlog was going to turn into a discussion of my studio, but looks like that's where we're headed. I'm going to draw some more. I'm an artist who also loves coloring books. I eyed this for so long at Target, and I got it a little while ago. This is the one I've started, the ape, but I was thinking I just really want to color another one today, and I'm actually working on my own coloring book. So stay tuned for that. I'll tell you more details later, but yeah. So if you don't know this about me, I went to art school, and I did not go for illustration. I went for graphic design thinking that I would use those skills I learned to be able to, you know, finalize my illustration work, get work for clients, do things like that, or to, you know, edit my fashion illustrations, because that was what I loved drawing the most then. And I still love it a lot now, but florals have definitely won a pretty big place in my heart. But I had this professor in a drawing class. I took a few drawing classes when I was there. And it was a general drawing class where we would do a lot of still lifes. And I always kept my sketchbook where I was always drawing fashion illustrations. And I remember showing her one of my fashion illustrations, which they were not good at the time. But she laughed and proceeded to just make fun of it, tell me the proportions were off, and didn't help me or give me any direction, and just basically was like, yeah, good luck with those. And here's the thing. I know that a lot of times when people say things like that, especially her being a drawing professor, someone who worked in the illustration field, doing commercial illustrating as a freelancer, who was very good at what she did. You know, it was a weighty thing to say to me. And most people, a lot of times when you get comments like that from people who are seen as high professionals and who are talented, it really hits you hard, and you can either decide to not do it anymore or do it in spite of what they said. And see, the thing is with me, that when my mind is made up, it's made up. And I already knew that I was an artist, and I loved drawing and had such a huge passion for it. And I understood that you get better as you work on your craft. That her words weren't nice, and they definitely were not a compliment. And it obviously upset me at the time. But I decided that I was just going to keep working on that, because she wasn't going to be helpful anyway. So I wasn't going to ask for her advice. And yeah, like, she didn't work in fashion illustration. So at the same time, I was kind of like, you also don't draw figures. So I kept working on that. And then fast forward to almost a decade later, and I got to do a very cool illustration for a company called Mi Golondrina, and it is a artisan crafted brand with artisans in Mexico, and they make these beautiful dresses This is their company here on Instagram. You can go check it out. But I got to create 5 illustrations of their collection and reels along with it of me creating them and the process of it. And it was such a fun project. And you know what? When I did that, I was like, wow, that person was so wrong. They were so wrong. And it just made me really proud of myself that I didn't let it crumble me. I didn't let it affect what I was going to do as an artist, because you are always going to have people that critique your work. And critiquing is good, but I mean in a way that people will offer criticism, or it's normally for a various number of reasons, but 9 out of 10 times, what people say to you that is unkind is a reflection of them and how they feel about themselves. And that statement makes even more sense now, knowing her story and her backstory that she had told me and my classmates in our class, because she had a hard time getting to where she was, and not everything was given to her on a silver platter. And so it was like, if anyone had a tinge of that, she just didn't like them. But there were also a few times that she had told me that I remind her of herself when she was younger. And man, is that if that seems like a compliment from someone, I just always think of in my head to watch out, because man, people a lot of times don't like themselves when they were younger, and they're trying to get as far away from that person as possible. So it's almost like they meet that person who's like that, and it brings back all of those memories, you know? But when I did that, I was so proud of myself. And I just want to remind you that whatever you are creating, whatever your goals are, or whatever you are trying to accomplish in your art career, whether you're an artist and you want it to be a career, it is your career, or it's a hobby and you just want to improve. I think all 3 of those things, we are constantly wanting to improve. And the thing is that you can, and you will, and you need to just believe in yourself and keep going, because it really doesn't matter what people say. You can either take that, or you can just continue to fill yourself up with what you know is true about who you are and about what you are capable of doing. And once you set your mind to that and decide what you're going to do, you can do it. And it really doesn't matter what other people say. And so I was just reminded of that today, because yeah, it really doesn't matter if someone doesn't like what you're creating. I mean, you know already they're not going to be a client, or they're not going to be a buyer, and you're just like, okay, well, you're not my demographic, so I can focus on what the people who like my work are looking for, and go in that direction. And I think that that is really encouraging, because we're not creating work for the people that don't like it, you know? And I think that's easy to forget. It's easy to forget when people have their opinions and want to just tear you down. It is easy to forget, but it's also easy to remember all the beauty around you, all the things that you can create, and that there's more to your story, and it's not over just because someone doesn't approve. I think that's a good thing to remember. Okay, here we are. I have my Micron pens. I have my Micron pens out. This is what you will need if you do not have Micron pens. Try to get 2 different pens that have 2 different thicknesses for the points, because that is important. And if you just have 2, that is fine. 2 is all you need. So I love the Microns because of the different sizes. So here you have the 8, you have the 3, the 2, the 1, and the 0, 0, 5. I also have a 5 somewhere. And, oh, here it is. So just for the sake of doing something that is really thick against something really fine, I'm gonna go with my 08 and 005. So if you have those ones, great. If you do not, just pick two ones. Like you could do something like something that is a felt pen tip and then just a ballpoint pen. So first we are going to start in the middle and draw our circle. If it's not perfect, that's totally okay. Just try the best you can do. Okay, and within that, we will do the little bits of the center, but we will do that in a little while. So first, we're actually gonna stay with a thicker pen and go around the whole outside. So we're gonna make some curvy petals like this. Sorry, I just thought there was a bug on my neck. I'm fine. You're going to just keep curving them all around. The way to make your flower look more realistic is to have all the petals coming right out of the center. So as long as the point, when you draw an imaginary line, goes back to the center, it will make it look more realistic. Okay, so we drew all 7 petals, and that's really the easy part, because then when you go in with this finer line is when you're going to put all the detail in. It's when it is really going to open up just a lot of room for dimension for your flower. So just because, yeah, we'll start with this. We're gonna start with the center. And I like to just make tiny circles and connect them. So just start at one point and keep going. Have your circles just touching on the outside, and just work with putting the next one off of the last one you just drew. And we're just gonna do this for a while, and then we're gonna move on to the petals. where our center is done, we can move on to the petals. And we're gonna use that same pen. So the Micron 005 or a lower number, or your thinner pen if you're not using microns. So this is where it gets really fun, and sometimes I will go back in with a little bit of a thicker line. But I'm gonna press really lightly. I'm not gonna try to press down a whole lot. I'm going to kind of lift up as I draw, and I'm going to curve lines so they kind of follow this outside petal line. But I'm just gonna make them a little bit wiggly, and gonna draw them like this. And then once you have your lines, you can go in and fill in ones in between ones, like I'm doing here. And as you put more and more in, it's gonna go to places like over here where they kind of intersect, but it also forms a shadow. So it's going to add a little bit of dimension to your petal without you even having to shade it. Like, for example, here's another flower that I did where you can see a little bit of dimension. Or there's these where just those lines and the darker one gave it so much dimension. So on to the next petal. You're gonna keep going. This one's a little more rounded. Just follow the curve. The outside of your petal, yours might look a little bit different than mine, and that's totally okay. Just keep going. If they go outside the lines, it's okay. It's art. It is fine. I sometimes like to go, I start one end, then I go back. Start at one, lift up, go back. Or you could just go like this. And then you're going to do that for all of the petals. Okay, and now you have all your lines in here, right? It looks pretty cool. If you've filled all yours in or still doing it, just finish up now. Pause the video if you need to. And I am going to go back in with this thicker one and kind of just pick some random spots of each petal to add a thicker vine to, and sometimes I'll just do a little flick of my pen, or I'll just follow a line in these darker areas. Here I'll fill in this little triangle shape between petals, and sometimes I'll even add some short lines here by the center of the flower. Put some here. Gonna add a big line over there. Really, it's up to you where you want to put the lines. You can either follow exactly how I'm doing it or figure out your own way. And then that makes it so much more distinct. It really makes it pop. It makes it look like the petals are actually curving down away from the center of the flower. And there you have it, a fun little three-dimensional, whimsy sort of flower, just with using 2 pens. I hope you guys liked this little tutorial in here. Let me know if you want to see more flower things, and I definitely can include them in weekly vlogs or monthly vlogs or maybe just tutorial vlogs. But yeah, I hope you liked it.